Hi, my name is Lisa Ward, and I am running for office in Alabama. Many times we fail to realize how critical exercising our voting rights are. We often see in our climate things that make us feel like our vote doesn't matter or count. And I'm here to debunk that myth and tell you countless times that a race was too close to call, and it could have been your vote that made the difference. State laws change, and while we are not paying attention, often they affect our voting rights. For example, there's a law in place that basically says if you don't use it, you lose it. But what does that mean? It means if you do not exercise your right to vote in two consecutive federal elections, the Secretary of State has the right to purge you from the eligible voter registration database. Now, for that reason alone, we don't want that to happen. Voting is a responsibility we have to show interest in sustaining our freedoms for democracy in this country. And the moment that we stop caring about those fundamental rights, authoritarian government can slide in and our voice is gone. Each generation owes this pay it forward effort to protect what others before us have provided us. And it is our responsibility to do the same for those after us. So I want to spend a few minutes explaining to you something that many might not have attempted to do before. I want you to understand how important all elections are, how critical knowing individual candidates are, forgetting about a straight ticket vote, and taking the time to hand select each candidate that has put themselves out there for public service. They deserve our effort to look at their name on that ballot and be counted. That happens when you color in their dot on election day. This is one way to prevent voter fraud and hindering anyone tempted to split your ticket by coloring in a circle that you might have overlooked. Let me give you an example of why all elections are vital, especially midterm elections. That is when people are not paying attention, but there are no electoral college votes interfering with our choices. And it truly is one voice, one vote. We need to take advantage of that. When you don't vote, you decrease the number of voters that are counted, and polling locations are reduced because of it. There is no need for them if no voters show up to vote at those locations. One more thing, just as an example of why your votes do count. In our climate today, folks are not all happy with their police officers and the job that they're doing. I hope that you realize the sheriff you elect or don't elect hires and determines the officers in your neighborhood. So that can be prevented by making sure that you know the leader of that department is worthy of our votes. So let's get started. I want you to understand what elected officials are responsible for and how their role affects your life. Shall we? Let's talk about the State Board of Education in Alabama. This is a 9-member body which authorizes the education policy for the state of Alabama. The governor is the ex officio president of the board, and as governor, he or she has the voting privileges, although they are seldom exercised. The remaining 8 members are elected to 4-year terms, I should say, in partisan elections from single member districts of approximately equal population. However, most issued before the board are not necessarily considered as partisan in nature. There is no limit on the number of terms to which members may be elected. Members in districts 1, 3, 5, and 7 are elected in the same cycle as the President of the United States, with their next election occurring 4 years from then. Members in districts 2, 4, 6, and 8 are elected in the same cycle as the governor of Alabama, with their next election 4 years from then. The districts from which members are elected are reapportioned by the Alabama legislature following each decennial U.S. Census, which is this year. This is another position to pay attention to because of our lack of educational excellence in this state and the suffrage of our children in education. We need the right Board of Education members on board.